7. So let's start. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar on reducing manufacturing costs through AI Vision and Robotics. I hope everyone is feeling great today. I am Sarah from Subway and I will be your MC for today's webinar. So for today's agenda, we will be talking about how AI Vision powers industrial visual inspection by Russell. Next.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, and then next we are going to learn about NVIDIA computer vision AI age use cases with Teddy. He is the Metropolis Intelligent Video Analytics Smart and Spaces of NVIDIA. Next, we are going to deep dive on robotics for manufacturing brought by Hafiz Hashim, the Executive Director of C-Robot. And lastly, we will be having a demonstration on Subway News Vision Track platform by our front-end team lead, Najib Rosli. Not to forget, we will be also having a question and answer session by the end of the webinar. So please feel free to drop your questions at the chat box anytime during the presentations, as the questions will be brought up later during the session. And also do make sure to stay throughout the entire session to learn how AI Vision and Robotics helps you to cut down operating expenses, enhance your business productivity, and also increase efficiency. So without further ado, let me hand the floor over to our first speaker, Russell.
Thank you, Sarah. Let me share my screen. Can you share my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Russell Yeo, the BD Director for Subway. Thank you for joining us today. So while I'm starting, I would like to ask the first question. So how does digitalization help you in your business? Well, it's a very generic question, but for us, the answers is two answers. Number one is to increase revenue, and the second one is to reduce OPEX. In this digital era, I'll start off with increasing how we can increase the revenue. Digital era is here, and manufacturing equipment suppliers will definitely have some sort of input-output digitally. And with AI, ML, and cloud is widely available, we can foresee that data being generated in raw form and will be fragmented between different processes in a single production line. Secondly is pattern recognition of digital data to provide insight into area improvement, sales cycle pattern, demand forecasting, or even customer behavior. Also to improve cycle time to meet higher demands in shorter period of production. And for reduce of OPEX, BDC, a Development Bank of Canada, surveyed that 50% of digital technology adopters will be helped in reducing in operating costs. Some of the areas that we are looking forward to in cost reduction is real-time production monitoring and quality control to reduce waste and rework, predictive maintenance to prevent costly repairs and unplanned downtime, higher automation to save labor costs and also improve throughput, and of course, a neutral platform to reduce wastages and human dependencies. Well, what we are trying to imagine is we are putting a human into your manufacturing line. Number one is the eyes, where the camera will actually take in input of the object that you want to detect or the thing that you want to see. The brain part is actually we will train a customized AI model to detect that defect, and also the processing power provided by NVIDIA. And also the arm part is the automation, where T-Robot is able to provide different kind of automation to remove the defects and things like that. So let's look at the numbers. According to Forbes, most manufacturing leaders report that Industry 4.0 will definitely improve the main two KPI. Number one is productivity, more than 88%, and profitability by 74%. The rest of the KPI could be product quality, customer satisfaction, or machine reliability. Now let's look at the bigger company and how they use technology to improve their operation. Number one is Danone. They uses machine learning to do demand forecasts, and as a result, the forecasting error reduced by 20%. loss of sale reduced by 30%, also reduction for workload for their planners by 50%. The second one is a Japanese company, Fanuc, where the company uses robotic worker to operate round the clock. Imagine that, so you won't have human issues. And also BMW Group, they uses AI ML to do quality checks, inspection, and also to eliminate pseudo defects. And as a result, they achieve higher level of precision and in their manufacturing line. Now, the second list of questions I have, do you know your business, right? So some of the breakdown of the question is, where is my biggest problem, right? What is the cost that required for this digitalization? What is the long-term and short-term gain that you will receive? And also what type of digitalization and automation do you need? So we will actually help you in all this area, solving all your pain point in your production line. So coming back to the logics of 80-20 rule, where 20% changes that you can do minimally will improve the two things that we spoken earlier is to reduce OPEX or to improve your top line. So we are confident that the changes made by 20% within your operation will actually improve your revenue or your cost reduction by 80% somewhat. Yeah. So now let me go to a use case that we have for one of our customers. We do have a white paper that we wrote based on our experience. This project is one of its kind in the world, perhaps because Malaysia is the biggest durian producer, and Henan is actually one of the biggest exporters to China for Musang King durian. So their pain point basically is to do two things. Number one is to grade the durian. Number two is to detect for defects, whether there is any crack, and also there is any ulat or things like that. So also they wanted to remove dependency on human grading, because human will become tired and then the grading is not standardized, and also it's very slow. So what we do is that we partner T-Robot and we provide a first of its kind automation coupled with AI ML to all this to do all this detection. As you can see from the pictures in the middle, this is actually a grading for a single durian, where the camera on top will look at the number of segments of the durian. And we have side camera, 5 side camera to look at the curvature on the side. As we know, the durian will, not all of them have fruits on top and bottom. So by looking at the curvature, we will know that what is the grade of the durian. And as a result, we will be able to eliminate the risk of grading error, improve productivity with 30 durian graded per minute, which is 2 seconds per durian. So this greatly helped them during the season of durian when they need to input the stock so that they can put in the freezer. The more stock they can get, the more that they can sell. So this is how we increase top line for our customer. And of course, reduce cost by reducing low skill manpower, because the sorting will be done by the automation as well. Neutral grading platform integratable to ERP for audit processes. So I mean, there would be argument between sellers and buyers that what they are producing, giving is actually more than what they are receiving. But to have a neutral platform will prevent all this argument to happen in the first place. And when it's integrated to their ERP, you have the whole visibility of the P&L of the business that they have. Right, the second use case we have is with Heineken. Well, we do 2 things with Heineken. Number one is actually to look at the lid. As you know, when you buy beers from Lotus or Jaya Grocers, there is a do not litter. That is actually a tax can, so tax beer. So with that, they need to ensure that during production line, it doesn't mix up with MDNP, which is where you buy from the airport, and NAFI, where they produce for the army. So what we do is to identify all this can lid so that they are manufacturing and using the right can lid during the manufacturing time. And secondly, we to count number of can. And so far, we are able to deliver this and do inference for 2,000 cans per minute on the production line, and prevent error of using the wrong lid that may cause backslash of being summoned by KDK and K or the regulators. Right now, this is an overview of what Tapway is able to provide. Basically, we have three product pillars. Number one is people track, where we do people counting, dwell time, queue analysis, male or female detection, children detection. So this will give you a better insight in the business on who are the people that comes into the mall or the shop. The second one is the vision track, where we specialize in customized AI model training. And we have a no-code platform. We call it the vision track platform. If you have existing technical team that you would like them to learn more about AI, we have the right product for you. We will actually provide you the platform. You can take pictures and you will upload the pictures, and then output will be an AI model to detect the kind of defect that you want to detect. Right, and of course, the vehicle track, we are actually in the highway, the north-south highway, where we provide the RFID lane with a backup system to look at the number plate, and as well as the classification of vehicle, whether it's class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And with this, in the industrial, we are applying this technology in weighing bridge and also ANPR car park access control if you have a big factory. All right, that is what I have. I have my second speaker, Teddy. Would you like to take over?
Yep. Hi, everyone. Yep. Unshare the screen. Thank you.
Russell, we stop.
Yep. All right. Hi, everyone. This is Teddy from NVIDIA. Today, I'm really pleased to have a chance. I also got invited by Tapway, our core partner in Malaysia, that develop and also deliver some of the intelligent video analytics use cases. So for me, a short one, I'm covering the entire intelligent video analytics in the scope of ANZ and also ASEAN business. So for the business model of embedded revolution in terms of AI, since many years ago, we always believe in the ecosystem partnership. So as Tapway is being identified, also we have working on several key projects on the ground, regardless of the smart transportation, smart city, and now we are venturing into expansion into a manufacturing sector as well. So this is something that I would like, I always like to use it, right, from Henry Ford, the Ford manufacturing, the automotive manufacturer, well-known manufacturers around. So now, in overview of NVIDIA, what is our role in the market now? Perhaps not everybody knows about NVIDIA, and always the first impression that comes to mind is we are very strong in commercial GPU as well as crypto mining kind of thing, and those are true, right? And as well as remain as our very strong revenue generation products. But apart from that, right, since many years ago, we have been evolved into providing the software SDK, and being a software company in coming years, that we have come out a few software framework to support the partners around. So in example over here, Tapway has been working with us very closely by enabling this Metropolis software SDK by optimizing wherever they have invested in the hardware infrastructure at the lower layer over here, being at edge, like using NVIDIA Jetson products, or even the edge server side. So in short, our SDK is really helping the partners around to optimize and also lower down the total cost of ownership, instead of having whole chunk of hardware infra in the DC or at the edge, right? So let's come to here, right? Not only like the specific use cases like traffic management, retail, healthcare, hospital, but today manufacturing as one of our key sector as well, by providing the feature set to our partner, but we're also helping indirectly to the end user by helping them to save costs and maximize their throughput and yield rate, right? Depending on what kind of a product they want to produce at the end of the day. So now for NVIDIA role, the next question that you might want to ask, right? So what kind of a software SDK that we are providing? What's so special about NVIDIA SDK that helping the industrial player to lower down their total cost of ownership, something like that? So the green bar over here is basically explain the application and also the infrastructure layer that we involve heavily with the partners around. We provide the software SDK, right, from our NVIDIA GPU cloud, and we provide millions of pre-trained models, right, to save the time, the development times from our partners. With the pre-trained model that we have is already achieve 80% of accuracy rate. So in terms of the delivery time for all the manufacturing end users, you will expect much shorter delivery time from the partner. So on the lower layer, which is the infrastructure that I talked about just now, so all our SDK is optimized based on the containerized form, and we always highlight on networking, security, and even on storage that can be applied in the multiple OEM hardware itself. Okay, so now come to the overview of the video analytics, right? So, I've talked about the smart and spaces, retail industry of this. So the typical industrial and manufacturing, even logistic use cases, as what you can see, people would like to detect, safety and security, PPE detection, whether the guys is wearing masks and glove and something like that. All this can be done. And the other one is the famous one is the preventive maintenance, quality inspection, and defect detection. Later on, I will show some of the use case, highlighting all the use case over here. And the other interesting part is all the niche market over here, like casino, education, healthcare, sports and leisure. All these can be applied by using NVIDIA software SDK together with TapWave, for example, right? And as well as to highlight on it, all the video analytics today, we are talking about a lot of 5G use cases now. How do we utilize and optimize the usage of 5G connectivity? And all these applications can be done in the 5G environment provided by the telco around. So now let's take a little bit deep dive into the manufacturing and industrial platform that we heavily involved together with our ISV partners such as TapWave, right? So intelligent video analytics is one of the very common and interesting space, right? Whereby TapWave is providing the AI platform to help you guys deliver whatever you want for all the output, right? And the other, use cases, examples such as predictive and maintenance to detect all the pipe, all the machine, whether there is oil leakage, water leakage, and even, right, today we are seeing a lot of adoption, such as a conversation AI and NLP over here, natural language processing. It's basically highlighted on so much of technical wording of the machine, whereby the technical people, they would like to mention something technical form, the AI machine will be able to recognize whatever that has been mentioned by the workers is correctly detected, and also convert it into much intelligent data for the manufacturer owner as well. But with all these top two layers, it is basically separate into two parts. One is the inference and the other one is the training, right? Inference is more on the deployment side, where NVIDIA is providing all the Jetson module plus the GPU card server base. And the other one is that you need a whole bunch of a million data set of data to get it trained, to get a machine smarter, to be able to recognize what it is and where it is and how it is, right? So those are the GPU hardware infrastructure that we are agnostic. So in short, all the software SDK, all the application is agnostic to even you want to deploy at the edge, the backend DC, the data center implementations, all at the cloud as well, right? So The bottom layer here are those OEM partners that we are working with closely, such as Dell, HP, Supermicro, and the rest of the stuff, right? And even for the industrial grade PC as well. Now, the next one over here is basically to brief you guys, all the end user around. How does it look like? How can the data being trained to become smarter? All these images, right? Even a small micro or nano kind of a size of defect detection, it can be detected as well. All this is considered as a data set, the raw data set that need to be collected. Tapway has done it perfectly to use our transfer learning toolkit to get it trained at the training platform, as well as to get the VA application deployed on the ground by using various modules such as DeepStream, SDK, TensorRT, or even Triton. And the last step of it, you need to deploy all the model at the edge devices. This is where our GPU comes in, right? For the setup. Now, let us zoom in further, right? With all the SDK that we have, use cases that we have, and stuff like that, right? What are actually the potential implementation by adopting all these manufacturing video analytics software? We are seeing a customer that from a sheet metal stamping, a single defect scratch can be detected by using the IVA solution, right? Cosmetic as well, missing component, even optical character recognition. This is mostly in the semiconductor kind of market space, and as well as the full vehicle final inspection, kitting, ladder, assembly verification. All these market sector and also different kind of manufacturer player can consider to partner with Tapway to hope into a discussion for the opportunity or projects that you have, right? So now NVIDIA has been partnering with Tapway for times already. We even invited them to join our GTC, one of the largest event, to present their solution around for the world. And even we have created a blog together with Tapway to showcase whatever they have done. And in terms of quality, this is rest assured. And let's look at the use cases over here. That the quality control, it can be perfectly applied in the manufacturing, like what Russell presented already. All the cans, all the defects can be detected seamlessly. And the next one, right? Just imagine 1 millimeter or 0.5 millimeter defect. Can you really detect it? And yes, the solution will be provided by our partner by using our NVIDIA GPU as well as our SDK to fine-tune the performance and accuracy. And the last step of it, get all the data set, right, collected from all the defects images and train the machine to become smarter by using our NVIDIA DGX platform, right? So this is more like a semiconductor use cases that we are doing it together. So it really helps the semiconductor or factory manufacturing to really maximize and also able to detect 100% of the defects of it. Now, let's come to the last of the use cases, right? Even today, right, it's very hard to imagine that today we are actually seeing a demand, right? Video analytics can be applied in the corrosion detection. All the piping around, all this data set can be collected and labeled it by using Tapway platform. And later on, I believe that Najib will be presenting how their platform can collect all the data set, right, to make the machine smarter. Okay, thank you very much. So this is the end of my sharing, and welcome all the questions later on. Yep, and Hafiz, over to you for the interesting robotic use cases and presentation.
Okay,
Thank you.
morning everyone, and thank you, Teddy, for the informative sharing session just now. Okay, we move on to the robotics, the keystone of modern manufacturing, and I hope you guys can sit back
You
and.
have to stop the.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, you may share your screen.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, let me share you a bit of evolution of manufacturing globally, not just in Malaysia, right? So it started in 1784, which is I think around 200 plus years ago, 240 years ago. It started with Industry 1.0. We all been talking about Industry 4.0, Industry 4.0, but we don't even know what is Industry 4.0, 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. So just for your information, Industry 1.0, it has been there for quite some time. And if you were to have a good example, you're talking about steam trains that the Americans have been using for quite a while. And then 1870, where all the electrical energy came in, so people are using the factory to do manual assemblies. Industry 3.0, robotics is actually a part of Industry 3.0. You're talking about automation, computers, and electronics. Whereas the AI and vision, we are talking about Industry 4.0. So 3.0 and 4.0, it works hand in hand. But it doesn't mean that if you don't have 3.0, you can straight jump into 4.0 without any issue. A little bit of the things that maybe you can have a look how the people work previously and now. So the one that you see on the left is actually a production line where they are doing clothing and fabrics. So even you yourself, you have experience handling many people at your sites doing the work. Whereas on the right side, you're talking about robots working at the factory without any human intervention or minimal human intervention. So you see the difference between the number of people over here and the number of people over here. The dynamic is different. It's not going to be the same. And of course, the way that you do your work also is a bit different. Even for robots, we have the old generation, not the old generation, the still relevant generation, but we have a new generation. Like for example, you see on the left, this is an actual robot arm that being used to assemble parts at the manufacturing plants. And if you can see over here, there's safety fences over here that you cannot go in. However, the one on the right, you're seeing this is a cobot, whereas your team or your personnel can work directly with the robot without any safety fencing. You see, this person doesn't need to have any safety fencing. They can work directly with the robot. In case the robot collides to the person, there will be safety that has been pre-installed inside the robot. So it means that this robot is much smarter compared to the conventional industrial robot. So if let's say this is a robot that hits you, you will be flown away. The robot will not detect any obstructions, but this robot, it does. So that's the difference between an industrial robot and also the cobot, the new generation robots. Some of the concerns, maybe from the industrial players or also some of the professionals, you're talking about robots taking away jobs. These are the things that maybe I would like to clarify, that there are many types of factories. There's conventional factories and there's automation-based factories. So for example, conventional factories, you're talking about managing a lot of people to produce the same amount of output, comparing to the automation-based factory that you can produce the same amount of output. The difference is, if you say the robot is the one replacing the jobs, it's actually it's a change of dynamics. For example, you see over here, it's a lot of low-value income jobs. So you're talking about occupied by foreigners, which we have a lot of issue now, shortage of foreigners. And then number two is that very less locals are willing to work, which means they are not willing to work at factories, and they are just willing not to work at all because of this. Whereas if you were to shift to automation-based factories, it's a conversion from low-value jobs to higher-value jobs. So we have a lot of locals working here at this area. So it means that if you were to transfer, you will be solving this one of the issue that a lot of the SMEs are having currently. And also the support will be available to produce the same amount of outputs. So we focus a bit on Malaysia, the focus on the patterns and also the exposures. So I'm sorry, before I start about this, I hope that I meant no offense, and I hope you don't take offense. So because this is the one that we have been dealing with companies and SMEs, these are the patterns that we have captured, and apparently it's quite normal for the normal SMEs. Because number one, you're talking about focus on delivering orders only. So when you get order, you just want to deliver. You don't care how. You just hire as many people as possible, get it done, deliver it, collect the money. And then number two, you're talking about don't fix the problem if it's not broken. Don't fix the machine if it's not broken. You bought a lot of machines, and then if the machine is having issue, you don't even you just try to make it work somehow. This is one of the second issue. Number three is they don't even care about production optimization. They only care about why are you not doing it faster. They just throw the responsibilities to their people, but at the same time, the management have to take charge of the production optimization. Do it everything yourself. It is something quite common where we met some SMEs. They said that they, for example, we proposed to them some automation system, some robots, and then they said, "Oh, it's okay. I don't think I need you." And then they go and tell their people to buy a robot on themselves, and then they try to make it work, but apparently it doesn't work. So this is one of the issues as well. The last but not least is focus on profits but not investments, which means you only think about profits. You don't care about investment. You only think about by the end of the year, what car can I get? So these are one of the issues. The exposure you're talking about, these are the exposure that usually they are having. Handling operators become a daily problem. This is very common. Because of this, machines are not being utilized, and you know that operators will cause high rejection rates. The order will be delayed due to all of this, and then the customer won't be so happy, and then in the future there might be a loss of business opportunity from this existing customer. So the sales cycle repeats. So it's quite common. A bit of the ROI comparison between a conventional versus the automation based. So if let's say you are running a conventional factory, yes, of course, on the first year you will be driving a Honda City, and then the second year you will be driving a Camry. After running for 8 to 9 years, you're only driving a Mercedes, a normal Mercedes, and then you can only drive a. It is something that you can buy because of running profit like this. So you can buy, you can live a luxurious life, but up to a point that you're talking about alpha, and it's very healthy for you. However, if you look into automation-based factories, so initially for the first year, yes, you'll be driving a MID, but you need to after 3 years, then your business will be coming in. So if let's say you're talking about over here, it's 9 years to take him to get into alpha, but you only going to take you only 5 years. The rest is just profit and profit and profit. So how can robot solve the SME issues if you were to ask? So number one, you can run 24 hours a day without non-stop. A robot doesn't get tired. So, and then the second thing is manual labor is just to monitor the process. It's not going to do the process. The robot is very consistent, means that it's very precise, and the repeatability is very high. Means that it's very precise. And plus, you don't have to deal with a lot of operators, so you will have the peace of mind. So this is quite important for the operators as well. So this is one of the case studies that we have done at a factory, which I'm sorry, I cannot disclose. So basically what they have over here is that previously they have around 6 people trying to fit the ice cream into boxes. So now with this system, basically all of the 6 people, you don't need any person at all to run this line, but you need a person to monitor and also to make sure that the system is running well. So it's fast moving and it's very practical, and the operation is very straightforward, just to transfer from the conveyor into the boxes. It saved them a lot of people and saved them a lot of money on this. Okay, second is bottle repacking line. This is actually a palletizing system. So just for your information, this one box you're talking about 40 kilograms. And previously there's 4 people taking care of this line, and you're talking about 3 shifts. So from 3 people, you don't need 3 people at all. Now you only need 1 person for each shift. So you save 2 persons per shift. You save around 6 persons for this system. So for this factory, it solved a lot of their manpower issue for this basic system. So for automation and for robotics, it doesn't have to be very complex. It can go a basic way, and it can go a basic application. You don't have to go to a very chunky application. And then the last one that we're talking about, the crate palletizing system. So this is also one of the examples that we did in a factory in PJ. So so basically, as you see, this crate is very, very heavy, and previously over here also need around 4 people to transfer from here to the carton into a pallet. So which is very, very heavy, and it is not something applicable for the operators as well. So this solves a lot of their problem, and you see over here there's not even a single person monitoring the system, which solves a lot of their problems for them. Just a quick one. This one is a sorting system where we deal with the cup noodle company in Malacca. So a separation system as well. A bit of our clients, and yeah. So that's about it from me. I'm sorry, but we don't have too much time. But you can contact me later on. I'll have my slides to share with you later on, and I hope you benefit from the information that I've shared. And I'll be passing over to Najib for the next slot. All right, Najib, go to you.
Thank you, Hafiz. Hi, everyone. I'm Najib, and today I'm going to show you how you can easily apply computer vision in your business with our new platform. With our platform, everyone can easily work together to create custom models, to automate process, mitigate risk, improve product portfolios, and expand revenue opportunities. So let's get right into it. So first, let me share my slide. Sorry, not slide, maybe just a browser. Okay. So let me select my browser. Let me share it. Okay. Okay, first we can get into this page by using this link, www.vision.codetapway.com, and then you'll be arriving in this login page. Let's fill up the credential and then log in. Once you log in, you'll be arrived in the project page. Here you can see all the projects that we have created. For this demo, let's create one new project by selecting this button here on the top right here. And here we have few project type, which is first object detection, second is segmentation, and the third one is classification. Object detection, basically where you detect image by drawing a bounding box. And for segmentation is you draw any shape on the image, basically like polygon. And the classification itself, you label based on the entire image, regardless of any background. So for this demo, let's select object detection, and let's give it a name. So probably we try to detect some eggs. Demo detect egg. And then let's make it public. And then we just create a project. Okay. And then let's find the project that we created, demo detect egg, and then let's click into it. Okay. Once you click into it, you'll be arriving in prep dataset page. So in the prep dataset page, as the name explains, this is where we prepare all our data before we train. So we need to upload our image first. So let's find some suitable image that we want to upload. Okay, in this case, I will upload a favorite breakfast for me. I think let me try to upload this image. Okay, which is nasi lemak. Okay, and then click upload. While the image is uploading, we can create classes to label to the image. So one is egg, and then probably we can create another classes if you want. Let's say we want to label sambal also in the image. It's up to you. Okay. And let's go back to the prep dataset page, because we pick the images that we want to do the labeling task. So let's select the image, and then let's click the labeling task here to assign label, to assign the image to be labeled to the labelers. Okay. And here we can assign to the labelers. For now, let's assign to our account, and then Let's name it as demo 8 label task. Once the task is created, an email will be sent to the labelers saying that they have a task to be labeled. So in this case, we are straight away arriving in the labeling page. Okay. Now we want to do a labeling process. We can select this icon right here to do a labeling process. For now, we only have 5 images. I know it's not enough, but then this is just for demo purposes. Okay. So let's select the image that we want to label, and then select the classes that you want to label to the image, and then just click on the image and click drag. Same as the other image. And then click drag. Okay. This one. Okay. All right. Okay, once we finish the label, let's save the progress and then submit the task. Once you submit it, a reviewer will receive a notification that they need to review the labeling task. When they want to review the labeling task, they can just go to the labeling page and then click the icon right here to do a labeling, to do a reviewing process. Okay, they can review the image one by one by selecting the image and then prove the image on the bottom right here. Approve, approve, and approve. Let's say if there's a rejected image, the labelers will receive another notification regarding the task, and then they need to do the labeling, relabel again. Okay. Then let's complete this review. Once everything is done, we can now export the dataset. Okay. We can export with this file format. And then let's name this export dataset as a 8. Okay. And then let's export the media. Once we export the dataset, we can now do the training. If you want to do the training, just go to the training job page, and then click this button right here on the top right. Train the new model. Let's select the export dataset that we have exported just now, which is export dataset, and just leave the default training configuration for now, and then click start. And then that's it. It's in training. Yeah. In here, you can see the training detail. And now you can see the status is all pending. Basically, it's still in process. Okay, since we want to save time, we can go to the existing project that we already complete the training detail. Training, yeah. Okay, let's go to one of the project, which is Pepsi and Coke. Okay, let's go to one of the training page. And then as you can see here, there's an accuracy of 93% when we train Coke or Pepsi. And then there's also confusion matrix, basically to evaluate the classification, and loss over time, basically to show you the difference between the actual and the predicted class. The lower the line, the better the model. Yeah. Now let's try to test the AI model by uploading the image inside the inference here. Okay, let me find suitable images that need to be uploaded. Okay. Here. Okay, so basically once we upload the images, you can see the classes and also the confidence level of the classes. So, okay, and then we are done. If you want to deploy this new model, basically you can use your existing server or get your new NVIDIA server, follow a simple guide that we have prepared, and you are good to go. All right, that's all from me. Back to you, Sarah.
All right. Thank you so much, Najib, and thank you to all the speakers for the insightful presentations. I hope everyone here found this session informative and valuable. So before we start the question and answer session, I hope you can spend a bit of your time to provide us with your feedback by scanning the QR code right here. And you may also click the link on the chat box. So, all right, now we have come to the question and answer sessions. I open the floor to those who have any questions for our speakers. All right, let's see. How do I choose the right AI company providers for my business? Maybe either Russell or Teddy can answer that.
Yeah, I think yeah, I can take that question, and perhaps Russell, if you have, then you can follow up. Typically, for AI companies, this is a typical question from the ground, and especially the perspective of how end user viewed it is that they require the AI company to solve their challenges. And what are those challenges? Once you identify the challenges of a specific use cases that you want to resolve, then they will be coming along with some AI companies for recommendation, because each of the AI company will be very strong in a specific use cases they are doing. One company, they cannot do multiple application. And just for example, right, Tapway is very strong in the video analytics in solving the manufacturing challenges and use cases. But whereas if you require the conversation AI, AI elements into your manufacturing, then there will be another set of a discussion whether or not Tapway in the future would like to drop it into their project development. That can be discussed. Or the other one is that fast turnaround is to seek for consultation.
Yes, if I can add a little bit there, Teddy, of course, I mean, AI companies do have a specific skill set that is required. The knowledge and experience in working on projects, especially challenging project on AI vision, is very important in making sure that the expectation is met between the manufacturers who want to solve their problem and how committed is the company in solving that problem. So I think experience and capability, I mean, how big the size of their R&D is very important to evaluate whether they are suitable to solve the problem that you are having. Yeah, back to you, Sarah.
All right. We have another question to Najib. How many images do we need to get 97% accuracy?
Well, to get a very high accuracy model, suggested number of images we need to do is basically 1.5K images with a consistent label and a class distribution. Yeah, that's my suggestion.
Yeah, just to add up a little bit from Najib there, because for initial pilot project, I mean, most of the customer wanted to know whether this works for them, right? To get an accuracy of 70 to 80%, it will take around 100 images. And then it's actually a normal distribution, right? So the more higher the accuracy that you have already reached, and to bring up 1% more from 80%, for example, we require more images to be trained to increase the accuracy. So when you're looking at 1,500 images to reach 97% accuracy, it's possible, depending on how well detected the defect is. That is according to our experience.
All right. Okay. Thank you for the answer, Russell and Najib. We have another question from James. For a startup towards IR 4.0, where should a company start from? So I hand over to Russell.
Yeah. So for the
for a startup,
in my opinion, I think the most important part is to focus and develop a capability that is unique in the area of digitalization, right? And then to be focused on building, beside capability, of course, customers and as well as exposure to the media on where are you reaching out and how different are you compared to the market in solving a unique problem for the industry. If Hafiz have some comments or Teddy?
For Industry 4.0, if you are a startup, you are planning to serve the Industry 4.0 or you are planning to adopt. So if you are planning to serve, my advice is to be very focused on what you are doing, because one company cannot do everything. For example, we are doing robotics, for example, but we are not doing AI. So that way they are specialized in AI. So they are solely focused on AI. In robotics, we are focused on robotics because that is our expertise. For example, NVIDIA, they are the one to create the platform for the AI to work. That is their expertise. So if you are planning to have a startup to build the whole entire ecosystem, my advice is to just use whatever that you have around here and be focused on what are the services that you want to provide. If you are the adopter, you try to look into your main issue. For example, if you are having any production issue, let's say, then you can try and ask them, how can you optimize by adopting Industry 4.0? Because this is what other people's perception, that they thought Industry 4.0 can solve everything. No, it cannot solve everything for you. However, we try to see what are the solutions that best to suit you with your current situation. So these are the things that we can say, like for example, AI and vision system, it has the capacity to understand and also to recognize which item is what. For example, if it is an ice cream, if it is a cat, or if it is a dog, so they can recognize for you. But if you were to, let's say, the system to be giving you the advice whether what you should do next with the images, there are things that can go up to that point, but they have some limitations. For example, we can give you data, but you are the one to interpret the data. So in terms of Industry 4.0, the solution provider usually will provide you a platform for you to have the access to your data, but the action would be from you. So that I hope that answers your question.
All right, thank you, Russell and Hafiz. Let's go to the next questions. How to evaluate that my production or company require robotic system? So Hafiz?
Okay, to evaluate the production, whether you require robotic system, is number one, is you have a streamlined business, what you are doing. For example, if you are selling electrical components, or if you are selling piping components, let's say, you are very streamlined, you are very focused on your business, and day in, day out, you are running this business and you require your team to produce this product every day. So when you have a very streamlined business and you are focusing to build your brand, you are focusing to sell, and you have a volume, but the issue is you have a bottleneck or you have a choke point at your production, means that you cannot deliver on time, things like that. Or maybe you have a lot of issue handling your operators, because for example, one line is going to take you around 10 operators just to run this one line. It's giving you a lot of headache, for example. So robots do solve this kind of problem. And also when it comes to human beings, sometimes you have a maximum capacity of, for example, a person can only work up to 4 hours without losing their focus. So if let's say a robot were to be putting at that point, so number one, the robot can run 24 hours without any error or any issue, because it's very highly repetitive. And then number two is that from the production that you have, can you scale up the production? If let's say you are producing 10,000, so you can just focus on selling your product. For example, you try to deliver 40,000 per month. So that automation system will be assisting you to speed up your production. And also, at least you have peace of mind by the end of the day. You can predict how many outputs you can come up, instead of you have to deal with operators. Sometimes they were absent that day. Sometimes they have some issues, or they are not willing to work, or they are too tired. So these issues you can eliminate. You can. This is what we call it peace of mind. So I hope that answers your question.
All right, thank you so much, Hafiz. Now we have the next question from Wankit Song. What is the convincing point and how to get the management to implement an AI or robotic system? So Russell and Hafiz can answer this.
Oh, let me go first. Well, predictive maintenance is very reliable, and also how it increase the production output in factories is that.
Sorry, Russell. That's another question. The previous question from Wang Kit Song. What is the convincing point and how to get the management to implement AI or robotic system?
Well, the convincing point in this place, definitely it's how we actually create the business case or the return of investment of a certain period. Like for example, the question we put up just now, what is the long-term and the short-term gain? Right, the short-term gain could be improvement of your output of your production line by 20%, or reduction of manpower by gradually from 10% to 20% to 30%. So that will add up the whole cost in terms of reducing the OPEX and also increasing your revenue by ensuring that your pipeline or your production line is actually working well. So that's how we do it, by using a certain in IRR charts and stuff like that to justify. Based on what we know about your business, we will normally send a list of questionnaire, and we know how many teams are running the QC, how many teams, how many production per day, or what is the current cycle time. So by reducing that cycle time, you are actually churning out more output that will increase your revenue, and we put that into perspective in ROI. That is actually how we justify with the management. Back to you, Sarah.
All right. How about Hafiz? You wanna add on?
Okay. To get the management to implement AI or robotic system, I think this is something that you have to work with your team. It's not just a single person's work. Because when it comes to AI or robotic system, it requires convincing works, and also it requires some investment from your management. So which is quite fair, because for them to adopt this AI robotic system, they have to understand, number one, the technology, and then number two, sometimes they were to ask, if you were to buy this robotic system, am I going to ease your work? Are you going to be lazy? So sometimes these are the pain points the bosses are giving to you, and then the problems that they throw to you, so that you have to convince them a little bit harder. So, but sometimes the one that we deal with customers, sometimes we advise them to, at least number one, you need to get data first to convince your management. Because for example, if you were to have your production data, it's in hard copy, or in if let's say you have an ERP system, it will be very, very helpful, because you can see the difference and you can see the numbers if you were to show the difference before and after. Because if you don't have any data that you are running at your production, it's going to be hard for you to convince your management, because management is very straightforward. They wanted to see before and after, what can they benefit from this. It's the management, they won't think about how their operators or how their team member will benefit. They will only think about how they will benefit. So you have to put into the consideration of, if let's say you were to convince your management, how can they benefit by investing into this? Like for example, the profitability and also the chart that I showed you just now. So that is somehow, it will, the convincing part is whether is there going to be an ROI, and how long does it, will they achieve the ROI, and how long for them to achieve the profitability. Usually, it's up to the financial parts. So if you can convince them in terms of that area, then it will be easier for you to convince them. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you, Hafiz and Russell. Next questions. I believe this is for Russell. Can AI vision solutions contribute to predictive maintenance, and will it help to increase production output in factories?
The answer is definitely yes, because predictive maintenance, the purpose is actually to ensure that your uptime of your current machinery is always running, right? So how do we do that? Basically, we will actually look at certain vibration chart or certain graph pattern output from your motor or your condenser and things like that. So with a certain pattern being recognized before it happened, for example, maybe 2 weeks before it failed before, and that certain pattern actually is being recognized by the AI model. So in this case, when the same machine with the same brand and doing the same thing happens again, and we can expect that this machine may be going down within 2 weeks. So what you can do is that you can call the vendor immediately, do a preventive maintenance, or you can actually set up another machine to ensure that your existing production line is running and it will never stop. And by doing that, your output of your factory will be consistent and not reduced due to machinery fault. So yes, predictive maintenance will definitely increase your production output in factories.
All right, thank you, Russell. Let's go to the chat. There is one question from Catherine Kaur for Mr. Hafiz. So may I ask Mr. Hafiz, we have an industry problem, which is picking the correct books from the rack. Books size different, whereby our racking is those pallet style, not standard. What kind of robotics that you can recommend? And second option is using robots for transfer item from racking area to packing area. What kind of robots that you can recommend?
Okay, Catherine, the one that you're asking is to pick correct books from the rack, books different sizes. Okay, for this solution, most probably is going to be a robot plus AI solution, because the one that you are talking about, for example, books, and you have different sizes. And for robots, let me tell you straight away, robot is not a smart machine. Robot is like a human being, and a robot arm is actually a robot arm. It doesn't have any eyes, it doesn't have any ears. So for example, Tapway is the one that will provide the eyes, which is the vision system for the robot. So if let's say you were to talk about books with different sizes, number one, the system have to recognize which book and which size. So for this to work, we need to, the system, for example, the AI have to be the one giving the input into the robot to pick which book at which location. So because number one, if let's say your book rack is not fixed, it's moving most of the time, or the location of the books are changing from time to time. So you need like a feedback system, what we call it, the AI, the artificial intelligence, to give the robot to make some adjustments. For let's say robot is in on the second aisle, and then the book is on the second aisle, and then apparently the next day the book is on the fourth aisle. The system cannot capture automatically, but with the eyes that have been advising the robot, telling that the book is on the fourth aisle, then the robot will do accordingly to that. So that's why when it comes to robot, if you were to look into a system that doesn't have any fixed location for your books, for example, collecting from racks or to store on a rack, usually we need to have a system together with the AI vision. So that I hope that answers your first question. Okay, to transfer item from racking area to packing area, what kind of robots that you can recommend? Okay, for robots to transfer item from racking area to packing area, it depends on the type of book and also the axis of movements. So if let's say the robot, the book you're talking about being flat on the table, you want to transfer inside a packing area, which is let's say it's a box, you can just pick up and transfer. If let's say you need to transfer it maybe 90 degrees from the loading area, so you need a robot arm. So so it depends on the type of robot and also the application. Some robot, it can for example, articulated robot arm, it can go up to 6 axis, means that it can do manipulation of the axis. If let's say a robot to transfer from here to here, 6 axis robot, it can go like up to this part, it can go upside down. So if it is required for your book to be transferred upside down or maybe some angles, so you need a robot arm. If not, then you can just use a delta robot or just a simple robot to just pick and place. So I hope that answers your question for the second item.
Okay, thank you, Hafiz, for the explanation. Now let's go back to the question and answer box. We have a question from James. Always when it comes to IR 4.0 investment, always we are talking about ROI. Most of the time, we will come to a situation where quotation from vendor cannot meet practical ROI justification. What kind of challenges you face or experience when you're helping your client in IR 4.0 in terms of ROI perspective? So either Russell and Hafiz.
Yeah, let me handle this question. It's a very good question, actually. I mean, we do have customers that is contemplating whether to digitalize or using robot or even AI model to solve their problem. So it's either time or cost that we are looking at. The shorter the ROI is, eventually the more investment that you need to make. So depending on how much is your selling price of your current product, and coming back to the amount of invested, and if the ROI or the reduction of cost or increment of your revenue is very little, definitely it will pull your ROI longer. It doesn't mean that there is no ROI. It's just that it will be much more longer, depending how it's being evaluated. So as we know, over time, new technology will be introduced in the market, and when that technology that being introduced to the market will be more expensive, right? So I would say later on, when AI ML is being matured, it will be cheaper. Robotic will be cheaper. Maybe that is the correct time for you to come in and actually implement that. So that is my 2 cents. It's like a scale, right? So it's got to be balanced, and to have a real ROI now, I think the best way is to get multiple vendors to give you different suggestions on what are the areas. Maybe you are looking at the wrong perspective, looking at the wrong segment of your production line to gain that ROI. That's my opinion.
All right,
Yeah,
thank
Sarah?
you, Russell. Hafiz, would you like to add on?
Okay, James, when it comes to Industry 4.0, we're talking about ROI. So yes, this is the major concern when it comes to investing in industry IR 4.0 based projects lah. So what I can say is, yes, it's true in terms of ROI from this year, next year, and the year after. It will be different from different company coming in when there's more data coming in to do the work. But the one that we can say is that currently, in terms of ROI, it depends on your company's direction. So if let's say some companies, their direction, you're talking about manufacturing for 10, 20 years. Some companies, they are only running their production for only one or 1.5 years. So for you to achieve this kind of ROI, usually, like I said just now, the streamlining of your business, if let's say you are very focused, you can, you know that you are going to run this production for the next 10 years, then the ROI will be justified. If let's say you're talking about you're running for 1.5 years, and then sometimes you have orders, someday you don't have any orders. So this ROI justification, it goes back to your team and to your company. Because from our team, usually the one that, the solution that we do provide, we would like to have the customer to have at least they have a volume. So if you don't have any volume, it's hard to justify your management to achieve your ROI. So for us, we are assisting you to streamline and to increase your effectiveness and also productivity. But initially, if you don't have any productivity at your production yet, that is where you need to focus first. Then once you have a production running and you are dealing with day-to-day activities, day-to-day production, you have a stable running production, and you know that the revenue is confirmed and also it's stable. Then when the AI and also the robotics come in, this is where the ROI, you can justify with the ROI. Because sometimes some companies, they have revenue, they have very good revenue, maybe Q1 and Q2, but no revenue Q3. And then Q4, they have a very, very good revenue. Then next year, they don't have any business at all. So it depends on the line of business that you are doing. And if let's say your demand is very, very good, then our system will really, really justify your ROI. Because with an automated system running, you won't be having any issue to deal with all of the operators, like I said just now. It's purely running production. So ROI will be coming in when you have this, you have reached this stage. So I hope you understand on that.
All right, thank you, Hafiz. So I hope that answered your question, James. Now, next question would be to Hafiz again. For robotics implementation, how do you cope with capacity change or layout change?
Okay, for robotics implementation, this is one of the things that I would like to share with you. Okay, just for your information, the one that you see robot arms at production and also for automotive factories, or also you see the robot arm at your own factory, if let's say you have any, the thing that you have to understand is that a robot cannot work on its own. A robot, it depends on the ecosystem around the robot. For example, you're talking about jigs, you're talking about assembly lines, you're talking about conveyor systems. So these are the things that completes a robot to make sure that it can do its job. So if you were to ask how you cope with capacity change or layout change, there will always be capacity change and layout change when it comes to automation system. For example, but this is where we have this, what we call it, repurpose of a robot. So if let's say you were to buy a single robot, and the robot, if let's say you have done this production of 40,000 units in let's say 1 year, and you have completed this production and you want to move on to the next production, you can use back the robot, you can repurpose the robot, you can reprogram the robot, but the ecosystem around the robot you have to change, meaning that previously the robot were to do welding. And then after your production has ended, maybe next year you want to repurpose for the robot to do pick and place. It can be done using the single robot, using the same robot, but the ecosystem around the robot will be different. Because a robot, it will not work if let's say you were to do welding, you need a welding system to support the robot. So without the welding system, the robot cannot do welding. So if let's say you were to repurpose the robot into doing pick and place, so you need the robot to be equipped with let's say a vacuum system, or also or let's say a mechanical motor system for it to do a bit of gripping. So you need to change a bit on the ecosystem around the robot. So when you change the ecosystem, the capacity will change, and also in terms of layout, it will also change. So to answer your question, in case of capacity change, a robot can make it faster. It depends on the items around it. The more lean your system has been designed for you, the faster it can go. In terms of layout, if let's say you were to change from a station from this point to another point, it can be done. But by the end of the day, the robot have to do some recalibration, and also you have to do some reprogramming as well. So buying a single robot doesn't mean that you can only use for 3 years. You can use up to 30 years. It's just how do you repurpose the robot. So I hope that answered the question.
All right, thank you, Hafiz. We have another question from Firdaus. How do you deal with sensitive data set? Maybe Najib, you can answer that.
Okay, so sensitive data set. Current data set is basically under your company. So only your organization can see the data set. We haven't yet implemented any encryption on the data set, but definitely it's under our roadmap. Yeah.
Yeah, to add on top of that, and all the data set owned by the company will be stored on the cloud, and then the cloud is a very safe data container, so-called. Nowadays, it's very difficult to. It's got very high IT security features, and it will be remain private to your company only. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Najib and Russell. We have 2 questions from the chat. First from Catherine. One more question. If we were to apply robotics and AI solutions to our factory, normally how many % of the total cost we can apply for the Industry 4.0 grant?
Well, let me answer that. So we definitely, there is a lot of grant that is provided for Industry 4.0 from MDEC, from different organizations of the government. There is one grant that is applied by the customer themselves to do evaluation whether they are suitable, and then we could come into the readiness assessment part, whereby we can introduce to you what are the optimization or digitalization that you can include in your grant application. So there is no fixed amount. I think the biggest I heard is up to $1 million. I mean, depending on the scale that you are looking at. But of course, there is also sandbox provided by the government to help tech company like us to apply on behalf of our customers. So there's two ways. It's either you apply yourself or we apply via the sandbox, which is much smaller in amount. We did that before with some of our customers. In fact, one of the project we shared just now is actually using one of the sandbox grant. Right, back to you, Sarah.
All right, thanks, Russell. So last questions. Any incentive grant tax breaks from government to fund in full or partly for such implementation? I think Russell has answered, but if there is any additional grants that you know, Hafiz, Russell, you may also add on.
Yeah, I guess maybe let me start first, Russell. The one that you're talking about, incentive grant tax breaks from government, the one that we do know there are a few as well. Maybe from your side, if you have any inquiries you want to know further, you can contact Russell on this. So any incentive grant and tax breaks, the government do have, but for further information, you can contact Russell directly lah.
Yes, that's true. What we do is that we will actually, because different grant apply for different industry. So if you are within that industry, I think some of the grant will be available. Sarah?
All right. Okay. I think that is all the questions that we have. So yeah, I think that's it. So we'd like to thank you to everyone who has raised the questions. Now with all the questions answered, that concludes our question and answer session. So finally, we have come to the end of our webinar sessions. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. Thank you very much, Russell, Teddy that just left, Hafiz, Najib, for sharing your insight and expertise. If you do have any additional questions or would like to connect directly with Tapway or T-Robot, you can email us at sales@gotapway.com or visit our website at www.gotapway.com. So thank you for your time, everyone. Stay safe, have a wonderful day, and see you next time.
Thank you.